Hi, I'm Chris Pitt, creator of the Pulsor. Welcome to this fourth video tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how the Pulsor's modulation system works and how to use a Pulsor sound generator. Firstly, I'd like to clear up a bit of slightly confusing terminology. The Pulsor refers to the whole synthesizer, while a Pulsor refers to the basic sound generating unit of the synthesizer. Okay, to show you how to set up a Pulsor and how to use modulation editors, modulators for short, let's develop a bass sound. We'll start with our basic tutorial sound. Pretty dull at the moment, I know, but let's see how the Pulsor is set up to make this simple sound. A Pulsor is controlled by three parameters: pitch, spectrum and amplitude. Each of these parameters is controlled by up to three modulators. These modulators all work together to control the value of the parameter. First thing to notice is that some modulators have no value bar or value text, and the modulation source drop-down button is simply a ring. This indicates that the modulator is unused. Active modulators have a source and a value. The source sets what is going to change or modulate the sound. This is indicated by a colour-coded button to the top right of the modulator. The modulator value sets how much that source will affect the parameter. A Pulsor generates a pitched musical sound, the pitch of which is controlled by the three pitch modulators. In this case, only one is in use. Here, the source drop-down is a blue P, indicating that the Pulsor pitch is controlled by the note pitch. The modulation value is set to 100%, which means that the Pulsor will play in tune with the notes. You will almost always want to set up one of the pitch modulators like this. Moving over to the amplitude parameter, again there is only one modulator in use. In this case the source drop-down is a purple E1, indicating that the Pulsor amplitude is controlled by envelope 1. Note that the envelope 1 modulation value is set to 100%. This means that the Pulsor will play at maximum strength. You will almost always want to set one of the amplitude modulators to an envelope, or the Pulsor would sound continuously. The spectrum control is at the heart of the Pulsor. With the spectrum value low, as here, we only hear a few harmonics, shown turquoise on the graph. And with the spectrum value high, we hear a lot of harmonic content, shown yellow on the graph. In this case, there is 100% pitch modulation applied to the spectrum parameter, as well as to the pitch parameter. This makes the timbre of the Pulsor the same for all notes, but you can experiment by changing this. The spectrum parameter also has a grey B modulation, which I was using a minute ago. Here the modulation is a fixed constant amount, so that the modulation value acts as a simple knob. Right, let's see if we can do something interesting with our bass sound. Firstly, I'm going to add envelope 2 modulation to the spectrum of Pulsor 1. Next, I'm going to add a little LFO to the Pulsor pitch. Notice how I can set this very precisely to provide a little wobble without it sounding out of tune. Finally, for this Pulsor, I'm going to set up some key velocity sensitivity onto the amplitude to give it a little bit more expression. Okay, sounding a bit more like a usable bass. Now I'm going to use Pulsor 2 to give our sound a bit more body. You'll notice that all the modulators for Pulsor 2 amplitude are turned off. This effectively switches Pulsor 2 off. Now I'm going to turn Pulsor 2 on by setting its amplitude to envelope 1. Note that in this case the modulation is negative. This can give a subtly different sound than using positive modulation. At the moment both pulsors are at the same pitch, so I'm going to use a bass modulation to tune Pulsor 2 down 1 octave. This brings a rich sub-bass effect to the sound. I'm also going to add some envelope to the spectrum of Pulsor 2. Finally, I'm going to set the LFO pitch modulation and key velocity of Pulsor 2 to match those of Pulsor 1. Well, that's it for this tutorial video. You can download the program file for the sound we've created and a better quality recording of the result from the Maverick Synth website. See you for part 5, the Phasor, in which I'll show you how to use the Phasor in your sounds.